just want to get my master's for the work.
Does everybody have an agenda?
Yeah, I have one of those.
Do you want one, Mike, or not?
Should we have the Meade Road people?
Yeah, Bill Buchanan should be joining us. Era Goldberg is.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
He's the.
Do we have any meeting
I need to
minutes?
get those to you. I'm sorry, I've been right out. I'm gonna talk to you afterward, but for a minute, if I can.
What I put in front of all of you is the revised resolution for the Meade Road solar project. I didn't print the email off. I can if you'd like, that Bill Buchanan was gonna attend via Zoom, said this one is okay,
Okay,
so.
well, I'll call the meeting to order.
It's the same one you sent us, honey? Under his thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
good.
Will we be able to vote on that tonight?
You don't need me, do you?
yes.
Yeah. Oh, you do need me. I wasn't sure, but I
Yeah.
was on it, so. Eric and.
Yeah, Eric and Dakota are
Dakota, I saw.
not gonna be here.
Yeah, so
I'd like to have,
what do we need?
We need to have 5 of us.
Okay.
So
So you need to designate her
Yeah.
at the beginning, yep.
I'm designating you as a full member again
Okay.
for at
tonight.
least
For tonight.
for a couple hours.
For a couple hours. Okay.
Okay. And we don't have minutes.
Okay.
So this is ready to roll?
Yeah. If we vote, if we approve it.
And Bill likes it?
Yeah.
Mike likes it?
Ah.
Mike?
And they backed off. I apologize, because I wasn't here. for the other one.
You want me to give some context to what's going on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, okay. Good evening, everyone. Ari Goldberg from Barclay Damon for the applicant. So Mike Fingar is also on the call from US Light Energy. So we were with you at your last meeting in person. We were going through the revisions to the approval resolution. We pretty much went through all the conditions and the changes and generally agreed on them. The sticking points where we kept talking for another 90 all enjoyable minutes was conditions 4, 5, and 6. We had proposed revisions. We tried to go back and forth, finding the middle ground. And what we did was, after the meeting concluded without a resolution and without an approval resolution nor a resolution to the content of conditions 4, 5, and 6, we continued to discuss with Mike McQuaid and Bill Buchanan content of those conditions, what they looked like during operations of the project life. And then Mike Fingar and I conducted some internal meetings with other members of our application team to just sort of understand exactly what worked best for the project. And in short, we have backed off of our revisions to conditions 4, 5, and 6. So the conditions 4, 5, and 6 in front of you for approval tonight are the same conditions 4, 5, and 6 in the initial approval, the same conditions 4, 5, and 6 that other applicants in the town have seen in their approvals as well. The same ones that you're comfortable with. It references Barton and LaJudas, who was mentioned as your go-to engineer, someone who you'd like to see still written into the condition. So everything is basically back to its initial state from our initial approval in November with regard to conditions 4, 5, and 6. Real quick though, the condition 12 we talked about, that change is still there. That perm 33 is explicitly referenced, and then the changes to conditions 15 and 16 to add in the due process considerations are still in there. And then there's other changes regarding some of the additional procedures that have occurred since our initial approval. The modified site plan that's brought us here in the first place is referenced. Your initial approval is referenced, and then just sort of some other features tidying up the initial approval. But we did go through line by line all those other changes, and there was general agreement on those. It's really just conditions 4, 5, and 6 that have been reverted back to original conditions.
Okay, thank you. Bill, do you have any comments to make on this at this point?
I want to thank Ari and Mike for putting forward this proposal. I think it certainly resolves our differences, and I think it's ready for the board's consideration.
Thanks, Bill.
Do you have concerns about us being open to legal challenges for 30 days if we agree to this?
You know, I don't think that that consideration is important enough to hold off action on this approval. We're always at risk for being challenged. I believe that an action by the board tonight is warranted to finish the process. And then we'll see whether our 30-day statute of limitations runs as fast as I think it will.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this at this point? You,
I'm pleased.
Okay.
If you want, I would maybe go through what they want changed, like, you don't have to read the whole resolution.
Yeah.
But what's highlighted or what's, I mean, some of it is very minor.
yeah,
Good that everybody has an understanding.
the only differences, everybody has this in front of them,
Yes.
are all in the lighter writing on the first page. The resolution is readopting the site plan approval and special use permit for the solar power generating facility at 161 Meade Road. And then halfway down the page, whereas pursuant to the zoning law, the proposed facility also requires issuance of a special use permit from the planning board and whereas in October 20th, the applicant submitted an application to the planning board seeking site approval and a special use permit. You think I need to read the little minor wording changes?
I would just say the major ones.
What's that?
I would just say the major ones that really.
Yeah. Whereas a full statement of the proposed action was referred to the St. Lawrence County Planning Agency, and the planning agency disapproved the project in their letter dated November 13th, 2020, and referred back to the planning board for consideration. And the town planning board further confirmed that no additional referral is required since the initial referral to the county. The planning board has ultimate decision power in this case and can overrule the county planning agency's referral with a majority plus one vote. Whereas on November 28th of 2022, the planning board adopted resolution number 14 of 2022, approving the site plan and issuing the special use permit for the facility. And whereas on March, we don't have a date.
We filled it in at the last meeting. I think it was the 22nd.
Okay.
I think Mike had the master copy.
Okay. 2023, the applicant submitted a revised site plan altering the location of the facility access road in coordination with the New York State Department of Transportation. And whereas the planning board seeks to reaffirm its prior adopting resolution with revised conditions in response to the amended site plan and access road location. And then basically after that, it's unchanged what we approved before. Number 12, as the applicant shall provide the town and planning boards with copies of all other approvals issued for the facility, including all local and state permits as required, and sign-offs by all interested parties and involved agencies, including but not limited to a Perm 33 from the New York State Department of Transportation, together with any final access driveway drawings. 15 and 16 have sentence added and inserted that they apply if a code enforcement action is commenced in a court of competent jurisdiction against the applicant on the basis of such complaints and a conviction or plea is obtained. And then we're up to 19. Upon the applicant entering into a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the St. Lawrence County Industrial Development Agency, if applicable, the applicant shall provide a copy to the town board and town attorney. And let's see. Be it further resolved, approval, that this approval shall be valid for a period of 18 months from the date it is issued, unless the applicant applies in writing to the town board for an extension as set forth in the zoning law. Prior to, it had been 12 months.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Hey,
So the
sorry, go ahead.
whole DOT has been all ironed out? The access road, entrance into Route 68?
Correct. So that was evidenced in the stage one approval letter that we think we provided last time. So we still are addressing those technical comments on the drawings and we'll be submitting later this month. But we did get that agreement and sign off from the DOT.
Thank you.
Yeah, on track for the approvals there. I just wanted to ask, Mr. Chair, could you, I think I missed it. Are you elevating an alternate to voting tonight? I
Yes.
missed. Okay,
We appointed Siggy Bar
Got
as a full voting member tonight.
so there's 5 full members who are voting on the issue.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to clarify that. Appreciate it.
Do we need a motion to vote on this?
I move we approve this.
A second? We need to take a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And I have to sign. Do you have a copy of this or just this one's good?
Yeah,
Do you want, it doesn't have everybody's name on
they'll
it?
have to have them sign and then triple yes. and
Okay,
that'll be. I was busy today and. Trying to make it look pretty.
kind of anticlimactic.
I was pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm
Mike's thrilled, he's hopping up and down, and we
one
just
thing
can't. see it.
checked off the list.
There you go.
I really
So
appreciate all the town's
How soon
time.
you guys how soon are you actually gonna do something out there?
Well, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate the town board's time. And Bill, thank you for all your effort. And I look forward to working with Mike to get him what he needs to issue a building permit, address the rest of these conditions. And get to work, in the coming months, but we want to get the construction as soon as practicable.
Thanks for taking care of that issue today, Mike, too.
Anytime. Look forward to working with the town to bring this to fruition and get it operating.
Do we need input from Bill about the no dogs at this point?
Bill's
Probably,
not involved in that.
yeah.
All right,
Bill, you're
thanks,
off
all.
the hook.
No dogs and no opinion on dogs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Have a great
thanks,
night.
guys.
Thank you.
Al.
Bill,
Bill, Mike's asking a question.
Yes, sir.
just while I have you, were you thinking about attending that? Sheep farm? That tour that ADF wants put on? Or no?
If my schedule will allow it, I would like to see what one of these operations really looks like. I've never had a chance to view farming coextensive with solar. I think it's something that will likely wind up in the EDF permit from ORES. So I think it's worth a look-see and try to get a sense of how much ag are we really talking about with the sheep grazing operation? What kind of impact does it have on the project? I would like to know. I'd like to be informed before we make comments on it. It's clearly going to be one of the things that that is part of the discussion, particularly with EDF. So I'm inclined to try to make the trip if at all possible.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
I want to thank the board for all their work on solar. I think this is our last project. So it's unlikely that I may be joining you again unless
Sorry,
things go
Bill.
really wrong.
Bill, Mike is saying stuff over here.
Sorry, Bill,
There's another one coming.
I got another one.
Job security.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. All right. Thanks, everybody.
They're gonna do the dog thing that they want to hear. They're gonna go to the agenda now.
All right. Let me know on the sheep farm and I'll be happy to join you folks if it happens.
Okay, sir, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
Name an iPhone.
Name,
I don't know who they are.
mute him.
Or ask them to identify themselves.
I
Well,
can't.
we got an email from Ruta
Yes.
about no dogs.
There are two other people on the call. Can the two individuals name who are listed on the call as iPhone and name, please identify yourselves?
Unmute yourself first.
You may need to unmute yourself prior.
They're like me, you can't. The phone is like,
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Or maybe you haven't unmute them.
I can't.
as a
You can
host.
only ask to someone to unmute themselves. You can't.
Unmute them.
You can click a button that says,
Okay.
please unmute yourself. It gives them a message. That's all you can do
you
though.
can't make them do it. The next item on our list is new business, preliminary review and the status of the proposed project at 1734 State Highway 68 in Canton, which is the No Dogs Left Behind. I want to just run around the room here and introduce all of us, since we've got several members of the public here, and they can introduce themselves too. I'm Ian McKellar. I'm the chair of the planning board.
I'm Bill Myers. I'm a member of the planning board.
And I'm Siggy Barr. I was a member and now I'm an alternate, and for the moment, I'm a member. Betsy Hodge. I live in Canton and have a sheep farm.
John Casserly, I'm also a member.
I'm Jenny Reed. I take notes
Does a good job too.
Yeah,
when I get the opportunity.
and Mike is keeping a low profile.
You are?
I'm Michael Heaney, a resident of Canton and relatively new resident. of Canton.
I'm Kathy Trady. I'm a resident of Canton. I'm just retired from flu and I'm chair of the Canton Sustainability Committee. I'm Margaret Malk. I'm a resident of Canton. Leslie Clark, resident of Canton.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, do you want to give us an update of where we stand?
where we stand at the moment.
And what the process is for that.
At the moment, I talked to one of the county planning board members today. They're supposed to be looking at it at their meeting next week.
Oh, this
Thursday.
Yeah, within
Yeah,
a week, yeah. And then we'll get feedback from them for our next meeting.
And are we gonna be doing a seeker for them? Or any, I mean, is that,
I
what is
don't,
our role?
I get where Ian was coming from for that, but I just don't know how, and I'd have to, I've never been. The only time I've ever done a seeker is if they are doing construction and disturbing the property. So that's where, it's possible. I'm not saying it isn't. But I've never done one.
At this point, they don't have any proposed construction out there
Nope.
yet.
No expansion at this time. That was forwarded to you and all the information.
We have a number of concerns from the public already about what's going on out there. We are not obligated to hear from the public at this meeting, but we can elect to hear the concerns from the public if the board so chooses.
I move we hear the public.
I second. Yeah, there you go.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Absolutely.
Try
you. Yes, thank you.
a couple of requests. Maybe-
Emails.
Give us your name again and try to keep it fairly concise. But we're open to hearing your concerns. All of us have copies of, in particular, Margaret's emails with concerns. And so we're aware of all of that stuff. And at this point, we have to go through the regular process, which right now, the next step is the county planning board reviews this before we even get to look at the things again, the formal stuff, right? Yes,
Excuse me, what does that mean that they need to review
the
this?
county,
Yeah. what does that-
anything that requires a special use permit goes to the county planning board. It gets submitted to your office first and then gets
It's
picked.
a municipal law. Anything within 500 feet of a state, county road. If you Google 239-M, that basically that's the rule. Everything has to go to the county first for their look-see and everything, and the county board, which is consisted of 14 members from all over the county, will comment, on it, but it's just consideration. This board can supersede any of their considerations, so.
I just wonder, I can look into this at another time. I just wondered what they would
Yeah.
request that be presented there. Well, I can look that up.
Does the board have the 2 applications that were submitted? Or just the letter saying he wasn't going to expand?
They have everything you submitted.
The county does.
Oh, the county and you guys, yeah.
You do also? You've looked at both applications?
I haven't, have I seen the
Yeah,
application?
I sent you everything.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen
I've got hard copy. Can we do this?
Sure.
Yeah,
This was, on the 9th.
oh, yeah, that one, okay.
Yeah.
The county
Thank you.
reviews stuff and
Okay, sure.
they've got full-time people in the county planning office.
And
So
this
that
was
they're
the
on top of
15th.
all the regulations.
So this is the one that. when
And
everything filled in.
The
Right.
planning board
This
will
was the
vote
one
to
that was-
yea or nay a given project. And they always make a bunch of
Yeah.
recommendations as to what the applicant needs to do to meet standards.
Oh,
And then it comes back to us, just for example, all of these solar projects. The county voted most of them, the county planning board voted most of them down. because they were using agricultural land, but this board is the final word. And we have to have a super majority to overrule the county's decision. But like the project that we just finally finished with here tonight, this board voted unanimously to overrule the county planning board. But a whole lot of the changes that have happened along the way were because of information that came from the county level. So it's not a waste of time, but it does take time.
So they weren't, the solar people weren't able to go ahead and begin anything.
No, they-
until
And this particular project,
Take them forever.
it's out right by you.
Oh, I'm aware.
And it's been going on for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah,
They were the first to apply and the last to succeed.
thank you.
So if any of you have anything that you would like to tell us, that'd be great.
Part of what's been happening is that, he came March 9th. And he came before that, early in March, and started construction. Okay. You're just in the permit process, and he's just came in and went ahead and did what he wanted to do. And no one questioned that. And he brought in the dogs that he brought in from Canada to begin with. And then the next, in May, he brought in 48 more dogs. And in June 1st, he brought in 49 dogs.
How do you know, all Ms. Margaret? How do you know those numbers?
He tells them on his Facebook, but I have confirmed them by calling JFK Airport when the planes come in.
Dan sent that.
And talk
thank
to
you.
the people who were helping with CDC to see that the dogs had the proper papers and met the requirements coming in. This last shipment that came in, he had 4 dogs that came in under a CDC permit, and they're required to have vaccinations within 10 days. And I don't know who follows up on that. I'm concerned because he submitted an application on the 9th, and then he submitted another application on the 15th. There's different information on each application, and with the attached letter.
Isn't the 15th a revised version of the?
It is a revised,
I know.
it is
Okay.
revised, but the information the reason he did it was because of the, am I correct, Mike? Because you told him the sign was too
wasn't right.
big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what, there's a lot of other things that got changed on that application.
Well, the initial application was completely inadequate.
Right.
It
And
had the wrong acreage on it.
Yeah.
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 It was.
I guess another concern is, just looking at that, is that I believe the first one said an optimum of 75 dogs, which is still an overwhelming number of dogs in my mind. And the second one indicates that he's hoping to have between 125 and 275 dogs.
Must
At
be
that
getting close to that
facility
now.
without doing anything to structures or, so I think that's something that, at some point, the planning board would be interested in knowing where are all those dogs.
How many dogs can stay in the facility right now?
Don't know.
How many, what's room for, how many dogs is there room for right
We
now?
don't know.
Oh,
I know.
can you approximate?
I have
You have a guess,
Okay.
Mike.
I have an idea for the existing kennel where dogs were kept in
Right.
kennel runs. I'm guessing a max 40.
Okay.
There are 2 other structures that he is, barns and whatnot, that he is, I'm told, is utilizing.
And according to the site plan that was provided, there's a little barn, 5 small barns, storage and boarding. And
kennels inside as well.
I don't know. I don't know.
He's built some structures out there, some wood structures that look like cabins or something. You
No.
can see to drive by. I don't know what exactly they are, but there are structures in
To
there.
keep the
that-
dogs out of the sun,
Okay,
Okay.
because you can't keep a dog under, conditions, just like weather, they can't be stuck,
Right,
with-
no.
so they have to have shelter.
Right, well, what I meant is, in other words, there are other structures to put the dogs in, and he's trying to ramp up.
May I ask a question? This is because I don't know, and I don't know town governance, and I'm embarrassed about that, but who would monitor, who's supposed to monitor this? I think that this is one of the things that really concerns me the most, that we now sort of had this drop in at the beginning of March. It literally just sort of dropped in. With no notice, it is a going concern right now, which is why I asked the question, are they not allowed to go ahead with the project until it is approved? This project is going, and there are concerns that you guys are aware of. But who is monitoring this? Who knows if these dogs have vaccinations? Who knows if they are monitored for other diseases? You've seen our kind of bullet points there. John, you asked the question, how do you know how many dogs are there? Well, I think the answer is I don't think anyone knows how many dogs are there. And should someone know how many dogs are there? This is not Maple Ridge Kennel run by Stiles and Deb Bridges. This is not that. This is a very different entity altogether. And it causes me great concern. It's a business, and a business needs to have the correct facilities to manage that business. It needs to have the correct facilities so that it is not imposing its business on the local community, which it is doing now. We live with that. I live with that in my house daily, barking in my house, beside of my house.
What does barking sound like? Give us a,
The barking is very loud. It's difficult sometimes to hear my TV. It goes on for hours at a time sometimes. Sometimes there'll be a half an hour lull. This is during the day. It used to be at night, but the night now is much better. This Sunday was terrible. Easter Sunday was terrible. Saturday was terrible. And when I say terrible, I mean dogs barking from 7 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night, howling, barking. I sit on the back porch. I can't read. I can't listen to myself. We do our flowers. It's my neighbor is Buddha Ozels, who's here on there. And we.
And I don't know why there's no picture.
But again, it's not the dogs, that's a very emotional, to say that we don't want to hear rescue dogs barking. It's not. And it's not about the dogs. It's about the facility being an appropriate facility and going through the proper channels before it functions as the facility it says it's going to be, and has the proper oversight. I think there's some
no
real issues
oversight.
with it. What's that, Mike?
There's no oversight.
I think that is
You're way above us, like Mrs. Margaret said, the CDC. The CDC is the one that regulates dogs coming into our country. That's federal government. That's federal government. Ag and Market, that regulates municipal towns. They don't regulate kennels. They don't regulate any of that. That you're absolutely right. There's no regulations on these. None.
Well, this is called a rescue. So are the
And a rescue is
regulations
same,
different?
no, same thing.
No,
Same.
then we all be a little nervous then.
I have one in Governor. I have one in Governor.
But this is the town of Canton.
I understand, but what I'm saying is nobody, like she's asking, there is no oversight.
There've already been 2 dogs that escaped. You know, a week, 9 days ago.
28.
Do you know if Dr. Cilieri has been out there?
Who?
Dr. Cilieri, the
I asked
Northern
her
New
and
York
she
State
said no.
veterinarian.
Out of Albany?
No, she's.
She's a regional area markets person. It's
Yeah.
Jess Larry Smith. And she said no, because I asked her if she had anything. And she has some feelings about it, but she doesn't have anything she can do about it.
The local ag and market woman I talked to. Call Albany. And I get it. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, is like I always said. The gentleman came in, the can popped up, boom. I mean, out of nowhere. First thing, just use a bar as first thing, if somebody wants to open a bar in the town of Canton, first thing you're gonna do is give me your liquor license. Give me your liquor license. Without that, there's no sense of us meeting. So when I reached out to this guy and said, and it's not me, do you have your ag and market license? What do you mean? So, it's, just your
What do you
ag and
say,
market, it's a
Mike?
New York State license. So
So he didn't get his license until May 23rd.
which,
Due to delays with his paperwork. And so he is a recognized rescue in New York State. He doesn't specify what he's asking for a special permit for. It doesn't, I don't see any listing under to build a shelter for. Let him state on the application what he's applying for. And we don't. Stiles Bridges started his business in 1976. And that was before the laws were passed, the zoning laws came into play in 1990. I guess I told you this, but in 1997. So he is grandfathered in as a kennel. But to go back to what the town could do about the property, since we don't know the size of the buildings and you don't know the number of the kennels, and because he has never submitted any of that information, I think it would be important for there to be not just a Google Earth or dank picture of the property, but actual drawings of the property with the dimensions and everything else to understand if he actually has room there for what he's doing, or is he constantly getting ahead of himself, doing something that he can't keep up with. The dogs, there's no way those dogs are properly caged. They're cages inside the, there's gravel on the ground, there's cages, there's a little tarp of some sort, a little peaked top on those cages. There's, Kathy, you had a tour.
Yeah, I've met him twice, actually, once in both in my capacity as chair of the Canton Sustainability Committee. And he did give me a tour, but it was a couple of months ago, so there's been construction since that. And I guess there are three concerns that I would raise. I'm not sure whether it's really within the purview of the board, but as a planning board, it seems like these are things that you might want to be thinking about. One is the environmental issue. And we were talking about, the environment because that's a lot of dogs. And when I talked to him, he said, he wanted help figuring out what to do with all that dog food, all that waste. And he talked about maybe getting some Clarkson students who would research, do this as a research project. He said he had, some systems set up in other places where he has rescue dogs, because he has apparently organizations in China and Afghanistan and elsewhere. But he didn't really have a clear plan, and I guess, as a town board, or as a town, I would hope that he would present not just sort of vague ideas, but I'm gonna get clerks and students to help me, but like, what is your plan to deal with all this waste?
So what's he doing right now?
I don't
Anybody-
know.
Anybody know?
He tells you.
Well, he says that.
He's telling you there in the.
Yeah, it says that Casella Waste.
Oh, right.
Casella's not doing it.
Yeah, it says local waste company Casella Waste picks up the dog waste and regular trash once a week.
Casella's supposedly won't pick up dog waste.
I called them.
Well, from resident.
Yeah, go ahead.
I called them and they said they have an account with no dogs left behind. And I asked if they were picking up fecal matter. And they said, I guess we picked that up because, and she said it was going to the landfill. I don't know, you call somebody, they pick up the phone, who,
Dr.
where they
Monroe.
really know. I don't
Dr.
know.
Monroe does his with Casella.
Yeah,
Does Dr. Moreau have 275 dogs?
no.
No,
No. So that's what we're talking about, the size of this operation, which
Right, 100 dogs produce about 36,500 pounds of feces a year, given a pound a day.
I guess that is just one of the concerns, to know what he's doing with it and whether it's being properly removed or whatever. And also there are wetlands in the back. And so, again, what is this gonna do to the groundwater? For the residents I don't live near there, but for the residents of the area, I was just thinking about the environmental impact of that many animals, contained. I don't know the details, but I just think it's something that I would want to know ahead of time before I said, okay, you can go ahead with this project. Like, how are you going to deal with this? A second concern is just the impact of bringing that many animals into our area. I mean, any of you who has a pet know that we are totally underserved with respect to veterinary care. You can't, and I've called around recently, you can't get in as a new patient and there's almost no emergency services. Only 1 or 2 vets in the entire county have emergency services. So even 40 dogs, either they're not going to get the veterinary care they need, or we're not going to be able to get our pets in unless there's
He's
more.
bringing a veterinarian in.
He
The-
says he
The
is.
veterinarian he's using is not certified in the US.
Right, they're
Yes,
blue
it
mountain
is.
dog.
I think they also
He told
have to
me,
be
wasn't
on site.
He had talked about telemedicine, which,
Oh,
he's taking dogs to Town and Country,
No.
and his veterinarian is from Kingston, New York.
we
Okay,
would
that's
need
not
to
the one that we-
confirm that.
What's that?
We need to confirm that.
he had told me, and again, this is just what he had said, so there's nothing in writing, but he had said that he had hoped to open a veterinary clinic, and that would be something that he'd be giving back to the community, because we could certainly use that. And that would be great, but, he doesn't. And he also mentioned telemedicine, but again, a little hard with animals to do telemedicine, I don't know, for people.
Hard for people.
So again, I guess that's just an impact that I think as a town, we would want to think about, like, how is that going to impact the rest of
people that are
us?
there already.
Or his dogs getting in and, if there's an emergency or getting in to have.
Plus, there's not
care.
that many, there's not like a huge population here to find homes for these.
I was gonna
He's
say,
like bringing a lot of
do
rescue
that.
dogs to this place where there's not a lot of homes. to-
But
It's
he
already-
doesn't
we
plan
have
on
one.
adopting them out here
Oh, okay.
because it costs $3,000 to adopt one of his dogs.
Whoa.
Yeah, all his dogs go downstate.
Yeah, because you have to pay for the plane fare. And so he already admitted that they're not meant to be adopted.
Like,
around
we
here.
can
But
see
he
how that
also,
was a replacement.
yeah, he also told me, again, hearsay, that a lot of these dogs are unadoptable because they're so traumatized. I mean, they're dogs from meat markets, they were dogs that were left behind.
So is she going to keep them there indefinitely?
Yes, that's what he told me. That's what he told me. Again, in writing, that it's not
Warehouse
in writing
there.
anywhere, but he told me that it would be a sanctuary for these unadoptable dogs. Some of which, they're so traumatized that I saw one of them, and again, this is just, me, but it was a really scary Rottweiler, and I have nothing against Rottweilers, but it was like, I would not go near that cage, and he told me, don't go near that cage. So that was another concern, is just the safety issue. Like, How,
Get out.
if they get out,
Do we know how the two dogs escaped?
It's pretty easy. I can imagine how that could happen. but-
Huskies are adventuresome. They'll go up over fences, under fences.
that's
And they're
Squeeze through when
runners.
Somebody goes out.
so just to quickly summarize, my three concerns were safety, that's for last maybe, but, you know, the environmental impact. And does he need to do an environmental impact statement or have some sort of, you know, is there a regulation for an operation of that size? And category, and then the veterinary care issue and waste.
So what's your third one?
Well, I guess it was four. I would say, sorry. You know, I sound like Monty Python or something, right? There's safety, there's the veterinary care impact that, you know, that many animals would bring, both for his own animals, will they get the care they needed, and for the rest of the community, unless he does actually open a clinic, which would be great, but the environmental impact of the waste, and there are wetlands, so, you know, groundwater is a wetland, and, what's the other one? The other one.
Safety.
You had safety, environmental impact, which I put pet waste under environmental impact, which kept you at 3, and veterinary care
Yeah,
impact.
so what?
Okay,
Just to comment on the waste, I'm an environmentalist, but you've got cattle in your neighborhood. And Seegers and Nobles cows make as much manure every year as these dogs ever would. Just,
So,
agreed, but it's a very different kind of.
oh,
You're not gonna use that dog, that dog feces in your garden.
no. I will tell you upfront that I'm going to be in contact with, to start with, I'm a retired veterinarian. And I'm gonna be in contact with Jack Zay, that's responsible for Town and Country. And I'm gonna be in contact with Dr. Ciliary Smith, who's the
Ag and Markets vet.
ag and markets vet for this part of the state. To see what I can find out about what's going on from those angles.
I have a contact with a vet that was working with the No Dogs Left Behind in Canada. And Jeff himself was practicing veterinary medicine without a license. And this vet wrote a letter to him telling him that he needed to stop, that he was jeopardizing his practice in doing that. So if you would like, I mentioned
Yeah,
it on
I'd
the
like
phone
that.
to you.
I'd like to have the contact
Contact,
information.
I can do that.
And Mike, you said he's using a vet from Kingston?
That's the license on the dog licensing forms for all the dogs he's licensed. I looked the guy up under New York State vets. And his license comes up, he's been licensed since 1983 and expires in 2034. Heidi was here, we could get the name and everything.
Yeah,
It's on the back, you've probably seen them, it's on the back of the, where you license your dog.
I don't know, I've never licensed them.
I knew you were gonna say that. But anyhow.
I won't put that in.
Could I,
In a minute.
give you my thoughts on this?
Sure.
Again, my name is Michael Heaney. I'm a retired professor from Texas A&M University. I'm a dog lover. I used to train dogs over at Styles Bridges Place all the time, like 5 to 6 days a week. I'd like to start by telling you guys that, you probably read this before, but they say that he who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. And I think most, when you glean and you distill that to its essence, it's about there are consequences for your actions. And I think this is germane here because you guys are gonna have to make decisions that there will be consequences for. And I just want everybody to take it as seriously as possible. And what we've done is, we sent you a letter with all of our concerns, so I'm not gonna go through all of that. I must admit up front that I am philosophically opposed to having open borders for homeless dogs. We have plenty of homeless dogs here. I was very surprised to find out that this is legal. I don't think it's legal in Canada anymore. Okay, now, as far as Jeff Berry goes. I met him and he said something, I was driving the car, I was riding the dogs, and he said something about don't get any closer because the dogs might attack the car. Who is this guy? And then I got some information on him, and I'm sitting in the man cave of Styles Place, and I'm talking to Jeff, and he's talking about how big this is gonna be. It's a multi-million-dollar facility, modern, this, that. It's a lot of dogs. So I said, what do you do with all the feces? And he said, we'll figure that out. And I thought, that's sort of like what Mike had said. This is the sort of thing you figure out before you go. You figure out if you know how to swim before you jump in the water. So I was immediate. That's where my concern was born. That was the birth of my concern right there. And so I asked him, said, how many of these facilities have you built? He just looked at me and said, 6 or 7. I said, 6 or 7. You'd think you'd know if it was 6 or 7. And my concerns grew a lot at that point. Okay. The concerns are all the same. And he said, you know, the surface water has an intimate relationship with groundwater, which has an intimate relationship with the streams. There's Granite Brook, there's about 500 yards from back of the property. There's Boynton Brook that runs in the front of the property. He says he's taking care of stuff. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. I've been trying to figure this out, like how the impact of all the urine would be. I really don't know. It's hard. I don't know how to do a back of the envelope calculation on that, but it's something else to consider. Then there's the noise, there's the light pollution. There's, I don't know what this place is going to smell like in the summer. There's all of that. But from the very get-go, I've used this phrase before, this has been ready, fire, aim. He came last summer, had to spin these tales of how great this is going to be for everybody. Then before you know it, the deal is done and he's showing up with dogs on flatbed trailers, you know, in winter. It's one of the more difficult things to square up is how he operates with apparent complete impunity on his part. He does whatever he wants. People try to ask questions, he just doesn't answer them. He's told the canine officer who writes him citations for noise, he told him, keep wasting your pen and paper. And, you know, he came in here to start a rescue without a place. He doesn't own the place, he doesn't have the permit from the town, and he doesn't have his ag market registration. You know, I mean, it scares me to think what somebody who operates like that could and would do.
Does he own the place now?
No. He talked Styles into allowing him to lease it for a year. Then he's going to buy it.
He's also giving a
So-
talk to,
What's that?
he's supposedly giving a talk to some group.
Senior,
doubt
the
it.
Senior
seniors.
citizens.
the
I'm like,
senior
maybe we should
citizens
all
group.
show up.
But, so the thing is, the bottom line here is that this is really not appropriate for a town such as ours. This is a pastoral setting. And if the town planning board approves this, it's going to be a black eye for the town. And it will troubleth the House of Canton. I really do think so. And I think by the time he gets himself really settled, we would have a hard time getting him out of here.
Does anybody have contact info for Styles?
I do.
I want it. I've known Styles for 42 years.
She was with him at court.
Just seems like if it sounds too good to
Styles
be
was with
true.
it. supporting it.
Yes,
So tell us about the court deal.
okay, you can address it, the
Yeah,
noise
the
complaints.
noise is, it's horrendous. And again, my neighbor Rita and I get the because, no, we live in the loft area of Langdon Corners in the community, and so the noise, the sounds, the people yelling over there, we live with his business. It's in my home day in and day out, and as with Ruta's as well. Ruta, is it okay if I speak for you?
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
Notice it's just everywhere, and it's not all day, every day. But it may be easy for some of us to think that, oh, the dog is barking and you've heard a dog barking, a block away, and oh, that's not a big deal. No, this is overwhelming. And those of you who know me, I'm not a mushy person, but it has brought me to tears because I feel like a captive in my own home by that business, which I just don't think is right.
I think the properties have been devalued with this.
Absolutely.
Yes, very much.
Very much. But that is still, John, thank you, but that still isn't my primary concern.
Right.
I want to live there.
Right, I know you do.
I want to sit on my back porch and not listen to the cacophony of howling and barking and people yelling, and it goes on for hours.
What do you mean people yelling?
At the dogs.
Yelling at the dogs? Like, what do you mean yelling at the dogs? Yelling at them to shut up
Be
and things like that? Like, you
I
can,
can't really tell you exactly what they're saying, but
Oh.
it's very loud and it's yelling.
how many people are there on the average every day? Approximately.
There's 3 or 4 trucks parked there. I don't.
I've seen probably 6 or 7 cars that park there.
So you figure at least 6 or 7 people are there every day?
I don't know if it's every day though, John. I don't think so. For instance, today I only saw like 3 cars when I went by.
Let me ask, Jason at the county asked me that, what's the traffic like? Jason, I go by it maybe twice, 3 times a week. And I don't see, I see the vehicles parked in the field or parked right by the garage. I don't see vehicles.
Yeah, so that's not an issue. The traffic's not an issue.
Probably less traffic than when Styles was there, because then there was people constantly coming and.
Picking up their dog.
Yeah, I don't think.
Again, that traffic is
Yeah.
traffic. You
Yeah,
pull
right.
into someone's driveway, you go out of someone's
Right,
driveway.
yeah.
That's living.
Right.
But the constant noise of dogs barking. There's some people in the community who are extremely hesitant to the point where they won't share their concerns. I've talked to a couple of them.
Why won't they share their concerns?
I think they're afraid
Afraid of what?
of repercussions. This
Like-
is a
like-
very hot topic.
This is louder than when Styles was there, I take it.
Oh, my
Okay, so
word.
it's a big
Like,
difference.
like
And
what's
longer.
the thought about repercussions? What are you talking about?
I don't,
Just a feeling.
yes.
Or
I
feel
have talked to a
intimidated.
number
I'm
of people
concerned
about
about
this.
it.
I thought it was some sort of a North Country code that I didn't understand. No, I'm serious. I've spoken to a whole bunch of people that help me on this. You're all concerned, but nobody wants to say anything. They wouldn't say CRAP if they had a mouthful of it. And I don't understand it. But I've been told by people, I don't want to get involved in this. And then 2 weeks later, they say, nobody's doing anything about this.
It's.
I live a quarter of a mile from there. One of the people I spoke with lives another quarter of a mile around and the comment that person made to me when we talked, we're friends, was that, yeah, I hear the barking. And I won't go sit on my front porch now because I can't read and focus because of the barking. So again, that's hearsay to you, that's not me, but that's a half a mile away.
So I'm just wondering about this concern about safety or people. I know people don't want to get involved. I get that, but there's reasons not to get involved. Some people just don't want to be bothered to get involved. But others, if they're afraid to be involved,
No,
that's
it's
another
not.
issue.
I
Is
don't,
that- is that what we're talking about?
I think Mike is right. And this is. It's a different subject, but anyways, it's the same type of thing. When people complain, it's a complaint. We'll say it's a garbage complaint. I don't want you to tell my neighbor that I called you. I get it all the time. I don't want you to, it's like they want to
Have something done.
have something done,
Yeah.
but they don't want to initiate or.
They may
Let them
be
feel bad.
afraid of retaliation.
You know, the social media.
Can you speak to that, Marty? Will you please speak to that, this retaliation business? What are you talking about, retaliation? What does it look like
Well,
to you?
one of the, Mike mentioned that there was a confrontation in the parking lot after the court appearance from the noise complaints. And he confronted
Dan Moore.
Dan Moyer and said that to him. It's a type of intimidation.
Said what to him?
Well, Dan's a dog control officer.
Yeah.
So Dan.
Oh, he said that thing
Yes,
about paper.
yes, about the.
Wasting of paper.
Were you there, Mike, when that
No.
happened? No, okay.
No, but I got that
So-
from Dan.
Yeah.
Dan told me
And-
that.
and-
But
So Pete, okay, so I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but are you're just basically telling us that there's people in the neighborhood that are afraid of this business,
Or
we're
uncomfortable, maybe.
afraid of
Afraid of.
complaint.
physically
I am-
afraid of it.
I am concerned to the point where my name is out there. This person may know my name to the point where I am worried about, would he take my dog from me? How would he get back to me? Because I am questioning what he is doing. And I've had cars drive by my driveway. I'm on a dead end road. So it's like, to the point where I have driven past the parking lot to see if that car came from that location. So it's like, I think if you,
I have a question. May I jump in? Go ahead.
I think if you, I don't think this is a person who likes to be crossed. So yes, there's a fear that there could be a retaliation. I think that the board should take their time with this. There is another location in Canada that has just experienced what he can do. And
That's well put, Margaret.
And then what happened with
That's
that
well
site?
put.
What happened with that place? Do you know anything about it?
It's well put, how she just put that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hope you all.
and
heard
I
that.
can share information.
Is it anywhere near the sheep grazing spot?
Oh, we can take a road trip.
Here's another thing about that, why everybody seems to be reticent to speak out. I don't know that this is the case, but this is how I read the tea leaves. Stiles still owns it. And Stiles he's a great guy. He was one of the first friends I made when I got here. He's Stiles, but he really is a good guy. Most people love him. I think people ought to feel to some degree that they'd be crossing styles.
That's a good point.
That he might feel you screwed up his deal. And I honestly think, and I said this to Stiles, when he told me he was gonna allow him to lease it for a year, I said, he's just getting you to run cover for him. And he said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, he thinks that no one is going to come snooping around here because you still own it. And I honestly think that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Well, and he advertises, if I'm not mistaken, as No Dogs Left Behind at Maple Ridge Kennels.
There's also,
Depending on what he's
trading.
which again, I don't know, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that?
Well,
I'm just gonna say this, that we're going to trial for the noise complaints. Which is, you know, somebody said you have to share with boards how, he's costing, you know, money. Well, that's gonna be money. And the noise is not going to end. Given the way it's going.
Is that a town trial?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that right here? What day is that time, you know?
the 26th of June. I'm not sure what time.
Okay.
26th.
I can
So
get it to
I-
you now.
Thanks.
I'm sure it's the 26th. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I have not filed a noise complaint, but I filed a zoning code complaint. Because under the kennel, which he appears to be running, the code says all animals must be inside an enclosed, building from the hours of, 8
7
o'clock
a.m.
until 7 o'clock in the morning.
The new zoning says 7
Yeah, I said 7. Oh, the new zoning, 7 o'clock at night?
morning.
No, it is from 8 to 7 in the morning. 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
8 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. I'm an early riser. I'm out with my dog. Okay, so I kept track of the dogs barking at what times. And I, filed the complaint. I'm gonna go over this.
Was it ever,
Going
was it ever
Okay,
dealt with?
so it has not been investigated.
It hasn't been
It
investigated.
has not been investigated. Dan doesn't enforce the code.
It's animals.
That's not his job, to enforce the zoning law.
Okay.
So it has not been investigated. And the only way to investigate that and to know is to go at an early hour and see whether, or the other way is to actually see if if the facilities are there to house the animals. Someone needs to get on site. And whatever reason you need in terms of to do what you need to do to make a decision. That's the problem. He doesn't let people see what's going on. It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, I've been researching and he's got so many websites. It's hard to even repeat a second website to see the same thing twice.
Is he taking donations? Is that where he gets? the
Oh, I
thing?
want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. In Canada,
It's a scam.
he ran a,
It is.
he was doing a fundraiser, okay, for his sanctuary in Canada, his No Dogs Left Behind Toronto Safe House. Charging $100 a brick, $250 and $350 per brick, and you can have your, dog's name engraved on it, whatever you want engraved on it. And he was going to put in a brick pathway on his property, which wasn't his. And so he collected the money. And he got evicted. And he came here.
He has the money, yeah.
Ooh,
My wife,
And that's,
I shouldn't even say, my wife went on the internet to look him up and find out what she could. And at one site, he claimed that he was a Heisman Trophy winner, was a 2-time national champion and published 5 best-selling books.
Santos is.
No.
Yes,
no.
this was today. I said,
It's the same.
George Santos.
I'm actually surprised. I
Well,
didn't think I could be surprised any longer.
no, I said, well, if George Santos is a major league liar, then this guy's at least AAA.
So the question is,
Yeah, well, I
what
mean,
damage?
If you
did-
go to a site, did you see any of those structures at 6 or 7 that he built?
Yeah,
You'd think you'd have a couple of pictures of it, wouldn't you?
You would think.
So those questions that I asked you to ask him if he was here should lead to more questions
Okay.
for you about
Um,
what he's actually
The
doing.
problem for this board is we don't have jurisdiction over this stuff. I can,
But
I can contact people that might be able to help us.
he
Who does
is,
have the
who,
information?
That's the
I
problem.
just have a question, just generally, when you have a sanctuary or a thing for animals, is that ag and markets
Yeah.
then that oversees?
Ag and Markets
and-
has no jurisdiction after they register.
But the question that I have is that, so who determines the spatial requirements, who set the
Nobody.
conditions for whatever, who monitors compliance?
Nobody.
Where
It's not an
is
ag and
any
markets
of
Nobody.
that
The
set?
only,
What-
the only people that can do that is the town.
What I see is, there could be animal welfare issues
Well, that's what
here.
I'm thinking.
Oh.
The dogs are barking.
But that, then, like the lady over in the corner mentioned,
Leslie.
you go, Leslie, thank you. You go to animal cruelty, who takes care of that? State police and St. Lawrence County Sheriff.
Right.
So you're,
Do we
There's
want
no-
all of this on in our town?
Who decides if he gets a permit?
These people,
A permit.
To do what?
To run a sanctuary with 250 dogs,
rescue.
Well,
Who's
or
gonna
rescue, whatever you wanna call it.
we get to decide the special use permit.
Was that not what he'd need?
yeah.
Or
So,
he doesn't qualify.
Right.
I mean, I think,
You don't have rescue in your special permit.
I think a lot of the questions that all four have brought up when the board has their public hearing with the individual can hypothetically be answered and put into a condition. You know, how many dogs? You know, how, what are you gonna do with the fecal matter? The noise is a tough, that's a tough one. Like I've said if he wanted to build a $3 million building, we could deal with the noise, but with what's there now, there's no, you're talking a 1984 garage. So that's a different.
So how important is noise as an issue, Mike? How important is it? It's important to everybody here.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I'm
how-
not saying,
how
I'm
important
not
is it?
saying, I'm just saying,
Is-
and that's what I'm saying, it's some of the items that they have brought up, not me, but the board can get answers to, and like solar, condition 1,
There you go.
boom, condition 2,
Right.
boom, condition 3, and so on and so forth.
and like for the solar, when we're going through those seeker process,
Yep. There's a
that
whole
whole,
noise
there's a
check.
whole section
But
on
would you
noise.
do a secret?
So I mean, could,
Can we push the issue and require seeker?
well, I don't, that's the thing, Ian, when you brought that question up, I mean, it's a good question. I personally have never done a seeker without
Construction.
something going on.
What's
But,
the new-
But it is going on.
Yeah.
well,
No, there's not construction.
There's not construction.
Didn't he build a big fence with a
He put a
bunch of
fence
little?
up. I put up
things
a
on
chain
it?
link fence in my yard and I don't need any special permits or anything like that.
So
it'd be like me coming to your
not
house,
for
that's when you
use
put up a fence for your sheep.
of the existing,
Like,
not for use of the
Looked like there were
existing,
little
in other
buildings
words,
in there.
to match the use with the facility itself, to match the number of dogs with it. I mean, that's what I just don't.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
that's
to
what we're
go,
saying, yeah.
that's where it becomes animal
Yes.
welfare issues.
Right, I understand,
Um,
but I'm just saying it, I mean, it's.
But like, when I met with Jason at the county Friday, he was asking me, okay, Mike, what size kennel do they need? For what size dog? And
Right.
Who's
That's
Jason?
actually all on ag market. They
yeah,
have
but you gotta
dimensions.
measure the dog,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta measure
right,
the
they have-
height, and you gotta the weight.
Right, yeah.
It's all done by weight.
I'm like,
No, for ag markets, it's done by length, width and height.
I can tell you how many people
I
can
looked
fit
at
in this
all your-
room.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many dogs can fit in that kennel, you know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
You know,
There is an indication on one of his, sites, that one that we printed off, the vet one, where he's putting 6 to 10 dogs in a kennel, in a kennel.
He didn't see
Did you
anything
see
wrong.
that
I'll send it
about the, and about?
if you want the protocol, his shelter protocol,
Okay.
which is
Yeah, if you send it to my email as
Yeah, please,
for the
Town planning.
town,
yeah, please, if you
Then-
have any correspondence with the planning board, please send it to Ian. 'Cause
Yes,
he's the
yes, we have
chairperson.
that, yes.
and then,
Well, there's a.
then
couple
I kick
people
it out to
I
all
talked
these
with
people.
John, because I know John.
I'm not
But-
saying it, John, I'm just being politically correct.
Can I ask one quick question, and I don't know if this is even something that can be answered. One of my concerns for the town, and I don't want us town people to be paying out to issues that come up there, so I feel badly that we're going to trial for noise, but we're going to do that. But my other question, the more I thought, because we've just thought and thought and thought, because there's just something not right about this, but this is a leased facility, from Stiles and Deb. Who is liable for damages that happen out there? Is it Stiles because he owns it? Is it No Dogs Left Behind? Is it Jeffrey Berry himself?
It
Is
would
it the
be-
board of No Dogs Left Behind? What is
He's
a dog
got
that-
a corporation, so he personally isn't gonna be liable.
Yeah.
Five
And it would come down to how the lease agreement is, the lease agreement is written. Which, again, I'm saying that the board can request a copy of that lease agreement.
Wow. And
Those items, what you just asked, could be incorporated in that lease agreement. If they're not, in all intents and purposes, if God forbid something did happen, it would start with No Dogs Left Behind, Jeffrey Berry, and then go to Styles Bridges.
So Styles Bridges could have some liability.
Absolutely.
Which I think. that
They're
would be a
owners.
good thing
They
to
are
know.
owners. of the property.
It's like if somebody's driving your car and
Yeah,
causes an accident, you're
Yeah.
liable.
No,
They're-
I was afraid of that,
No,
because,
no,
you know-
it's, unless it's in the lease agreement, but
we don't know.
So you think they wrote insurance policies covering this? I'm
I
just
tell you,
asking a
the
question.
escape dogs made me really nervous. I mean, because I didn't know about it till hours after they escaped.
But people understand liabilities and Styles certainly understands liability.
But does he understand that if it's leased, that he could still be liable?
I think he's I don't personally know the man, but if he's been in the business for that long, I think he.
But
Well, it'd be interesting to see the leases and the insurance is covering this thing. What kind of insurances are covering it? What are the liability? What are the maximum things? What?
Well, I think somebody in one of the, I don't know who emailed, what. An email, one of those emails that said. One of the. Yeah, one
Well,
of the,
let me just interrupt you for a minute. Does the town have any liability here? We issued a special permit. We don't see any insurance plans or anything. Unless we ask for it, and then I don't know if we even have to demand it. I don't know if they'll acquiesce, meet our demand, but the special permit is issued. Are you then in charge of inspecting this place
no,
and approving it?
no.
You have no, once we say.
Well, you could put it as a condition.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
If we put it. as
But
a
no,
con-
it's not a assembly.
So if
I
we
only
put it-
inspect
But
assembly.
if we would be dumb if we didn't put it as a condition. It would be real dumb. So, I mean, ultimately, fantastically dumb. If Mike did inspect it,
Are
don't
you
put all,
getting
don't
this?
put all that stuff.
Recording, John.
Just let me finish my thought. So we issue a special permit. Mike, put it as a condition, Mike inspects it. Mike will probably bring, if Mike is smart, because Mike's a smart guy, he's gonna bring the dog guy with him, because then he's gonna have all the measurements.
I'm
and
not
all
bringing
that.
the dog guy with
Well, okay, so
because he's not a smart guy.
okay, you don't wanna say that out loud, but.
Well, I know him though.
Okay.
He lived right beside me.
Well, okay, so anyway, in a better world,
Take Ian with you.
two of you would go and
At
figure
least
this out. So then, and Mike goes in there and says, okay, everything's good. Then everything is good, right?
So what happens if the county turns it down? Do we still?
Well, here's the thing with, here's the other standpoint. Well, I agree with John. I agree with John on that standpoint, but with that being said, according to Ag and Market, come 2025, they will be required to inspect all rescue shelters. Because of right now, they don't, but the law is being changed that they have to, that they're gonna be required to inspect them.
And what's pushing that change?
No idea,
Same sort of things, I think.
no idea. I mean, no.
And they have new rules about exercising the dogs and the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Socialization, 20 minutes a day per
Yeah.
dog,
It's really
socializing, I read
hard for
the whole
them.
40
Even
pages.
Even the good kennels are gonna.
No, I mean. You know. But yeah, I'd have to bring a dog control officer because I have no clue of, is that space okay for that size dog or is. You know, I just.
A
You answered my
question pertaining to these folks. I assume the county planning board meeting is open to the public
This is the public comment time. This is
Yeah.
on
Thursday.
on
Thursday.
Thursday.
They did
Are
the
some
legal
of you,
notice and this is it.
are you folks, some of you intending to be there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
to your question of what drove this new mechanism to put them under ag market in 2025, I'm not sure. But it might have something to do with when they separated shelters from pet dealers. And they suddenly were no longer, they didn't have to give a guarantee, a health guarantee and all this other stuff that a pet dealer has to do. They used to, and then they separated them from pet dealers. And I think everybody went scrambling, so we've got to do something, they have to be regulated.
And the thing, like Janet, who is with Ag and Market, our local representative, has inspected Style Bridges when he was a municipal shelter. But since,
That was, her last inspection was 2015.
something like that, thank you.
Mm.
But, the thing with, like, our dog control officer, Dan, he has a municipal shelter on his property. And Janet could show up there tomorrow. She could show up there Thursday. She could show up there Friday. There's no, I'm gonna be here Friday. No, it's, cause that has, and you're a vet, you know what they, it's not like, oh, listen, she is thorough. She, checklist she has to look at and stuff. So, but he might be right. I just don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you surmised about disease coming in? He brought 400 dogs into Canada that had been exposed to leishmaniasis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, you're close. Yeah.
Okay. And he instructed the people that were handling these dogs not to tell the adopters that they had been exposed to this disease. And one of the people who was in, I'm gonna say this, he makes everyone around him sign a
NDA.
Oh, that's what
NDA.
That's what I think.
And so this is why I have knowledge that I want to share with you. And
You've not been given permission to share.
I
that
have,
by the person who signed.
I
the
know
NDA.
someone who has 2 of these dogs. I'll put it that way. And if you wanted, Steve's happy to talk to us about that.
Is she in the
We're
US?
having trouble with this.
Is she in the US?
Yes.
They're in
And,
the
and,
United
and one of the, I'll talk to you later. I would talk to any of you privately, but I can't do this. I suspect that they're part of this.
Okay. Well, I think we've touched on about all we can here tonight.
Thank
Thank you. so
we've
much.
got some follow-up
Thank you.
that we
Thank you.
can,
Can we,
Appreciate it.
before they leave, Ian, we do have some other stuff I'd like to discuss, but
okay,
can we?
I'll have people sign in.
No, on the future meeting,
Yeah.
because, our normal Monday.
It's the day before the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's the Monday before 4th of July, so do you want to set the? set
It's
the
not
meeting?
an official holiday. I mean, some of us still have to work.
I've got to take my daughter to
I'm
Toronto
teasing
to
you.
fly to Ireland, so I'm not.
I am
gonna be here.
teasing you.
So move it to the next Monday?
So the
That's
next
what-
following Monday?
Move it to the following Monday. What date is that? Jen?
That is,
Ten?
Oh, the first Monday is the day before the 4th?
Yeah.
yes, the first Monday is the 3rd, so the 10th
Second
That's
Monday.
so weird.
Okay,
appears to.
I
work for me.
move we move our next meeting to the July 10th.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you make that one, Mike?
I'll make that one.
Okay, all right,
With everything I-
6 PM here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want people's names written down that were here? or
23.
anything?
If I can just double check,
You got Leslie
I'm
Clark.
supposed to put down who was in attendance.
Can the secretary get your name, just to?
Yep, I
So
got
we have
Leslie
them.
Clark.
Margaret Mel,
How do you spell the last name?
MAUCH,
Oh, thank you.
Kathy Schrady.
M-A-U-C-H, president. I got most of them. Schrady is SCHRADE.
Why?
Y. Is it K or C? Kathy.
See,
Kathy, is it K or C? Thank you. And Michael Haney, Haney.
HEANEY.
EA.
Do you live on Potter
I
Road?
got Rita.
You buy Sandy's place?
Yes,
Okay.
I love it.
All right, I got them all.
I sugared on Giffen Road.
Oh,
I left you a bottle of maple syrup when you were brand new here.
oh, thank you. A little late, but thank you.
No.
I now sugar with Parker.
Okay.
This is my second season with him. A lot of fun.
And my son has Mac Maple Supply on Route 11.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you still an active sugar?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tacked 1,400 this spring.
Wow. How many gallons did you come up with?
Well, I sold the sap from 600 trees. I boiled from 800
Okay.
and we made 230. If you go around the corner on Giffen Road, my trees are right there on top of the hill, and then a little farther up the road is the sugar house.
Okay, I know where that is. I ride my bike down there.
Anyways, you had something else to talk about, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's on
Doesn't
my
involve
hill
us,
looking
right?
toward.
Unless you want to hear about solar.
We don't really want to.
we don't want to hear about solar either, but we're going to.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Ruda.
Good job, Ruda.
No rush.
This was really helpful. I mean, it's been really hard, so it just was helpful to be able to talk.
Absolutely.
It's interesting for us to hear.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. That was a lot of time you spent with us.
Adios.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.
It's like what is the line? It's like better to ask
Forgiveness than
Oh, that's-
permission.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's. how
that's
he's
his
acting, and
approach.
His approach.
Bottom line is,
Are
the
we still
bottom
taking
line
minutes
is,
here?
Yes.
we need to have somebody with the authority that knows what's going on, go in there to see the
Yeah,
actual.
I don't
facilities.
have, I don't
Yeah,
have.
No, but there's
How
another
did- how did you-
person.
how did
I
that's-
mean, I would know what's going on, but I don't even have a license anymore.
Right.
Well, that was, that was kind of my thought as we were here, because like, we have a solar law, what is,
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
I
We have
mean,
nothing to
if they-
go on.
If they were
There's a
coming to us and
law.
asking for a permit,
It's
right
not
now,
done.
we're just looking at the type of business, which I don't see that we can stand in the way of, and the size of the sign. Like, I don't know what else
I mean,
there
some
is
of their.
to this application.
Sound. I mean,
Unless we
need to
do a
sound
seeker,
engineering.
because there is environmental impact.
Right, but we can't be arbitrary and capricious. in,
Nope.
in imposing an additional process on somebody that we don't impose on everybody.
But it's a particular, what's the word I want? It's a particular business.
Are we gonna do
Entity
that for
of
every
its-
kennel? If we do it for a rescue, or we're
not
gonna
a-
do it? for-
Well, who did the
Well, here's the-
email with the splitting, not splitting hairs, but I'm saying with the definition between rescue versus kennel versus whatever? Did you read that? I mean, that was a really
I
interesting
gotta,
piece.
here, this is gonna really throw through you a little. So, as of right now, today, we don't have animal shelters in our
Right.
zoning code. We have them under kennel, animal hospital. Today. From next month, when the new code is passed, we're gonna have animal shelters.
Oh, yeah?
So. Guess what?
What?
He's an animal shelter. It's a granted use.
Oh. It should.
Oh,
So, and I guess,
but it's a use, but again, under what circumstances? I mean, that, I guess,
but I understand what you're saying, but
I mean, even
I'm
a
just
bar
wondering-
has to have
Is there a
fire
limit on-
I know,
things
but
and
if
whatever.
any farm
Animal
of
shelter?
any kind
How many
wants
dogs?
to
Yeah.
have
Good idea.
animals and a sign,
You bring,
then
They can have animals in the side.
I'm,
No.
well, no, I'm
And like you
not
say,
saying
how
that.
do
the
we get,
thing-
I get
the
it.
only thing, only stipulation that the planning board can do with this type of use. According to ag and market, is limit how many animals.
Okay,
They can limit how many animals. That's the only thing that. That you can,
You see, and I.
I get
so
what you're
that's-
saying.
that's good.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Because my concern, we talked so many times about being arbitrary and
And
capricious and,
Yeah,
potentially. The question of, are we treating each solar project equally?
Mhm.
I have the concern that we set a precedence that we don't even want. If we say, we've got a facility that deals with animals and now Mike's gotta go inspect it. And we've got to approve, the size of the facility, we've got to approve the number of animals is one thing we actually can do. But right now, I mean, it's the number of animals and the sign, but unless they're building something,
Right. I mean, that's,
right? So I feel
Do
like
they-
it's an overstep for us to say we're going to now send people out to inspect. We're gonna now do this with this one. We're gonna require a seeker of this one when we haven't for any others, and we don't want to for some in the future.
but are they building a business?
no,
They're not constructing anything.
No, I know they're not physically constructing, but are they constructing? They're
No.
constructing a business with all of these pieces and all of these
but
dogs.
see, what
and
seeker
all of
does,
these-
it takes into the site. If, they're. If they, right now, there's 5 buildings.
And they can,
And they're using the 5 buildings for whatever. So those 5 buildings are there. There's no plan of expansion of any buildings.
but we can say they can't house more than 25 dogs per building. I mean, in other words, there's no,
Whatever styles.
yeah.
But
In other words, what is
I
the
don't know,
kennel?
I mean-
When we have kennels, what is the requirements? Are there are no physical requirements for a kennel? Oh my,
And we just approved a kennel last year.
Yeah,
And it just happens that there aren't neighbors in the proximity
boarding,
that are
boarding,
gonna complain
yeah, she
about
was
the
boarding,
noise.
she was boarding.
yeah.
And what was she
boarding.
doing? And
But
she
we didn't
owned the-
ask about the poop,
Yeah,
you know?
Debbie did,
Oh,
and they were
It
throwing
seems
it
like we
on
did
their
that.
property next door.
Who was that?
Right on Route 11,
Right.
Oh,
right down from
Right.
the Eddie Graves.
Down by Eddie Pyrese.
Yeah, right
Yes,
down
the
it's
Tversky
towards the,
farm.
towards
Oh, the
village.
Tversky farm is
Yeah,
kennel?
Tversky, yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
that was the name. Becky Tversky.
And it was mostly for her friend's little dogs. she a hairdresser or something, or goes to the hairdresser and all, they're all worried about where to take their dogs, and so this sounded like she's gonna have a giant living room, basically, that they stayed in together, and
Seemed like a kind of a mom and pop operation.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
like
it
a
was
doggy
small.
daycare kind of concept.
Yeah,
It was
Didn't-
small.
But it's not gonna have 50 dogs.
no, it didn't
No,
spark any,
maybe not
any
even 5.
real big
Oh.
concerns from us.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the amount of dogs.
So at least numbers.
Yeah.
if
And the
nothing
noise.
else, we have
And the
My,
numbers.
my
But,
biggest
gotta
concern
be-
is animal welfare.
Well, that's what I
That's
was
good.
asking before
But is that
about,
in our,
that's
planning
not in our
board
purview.
code?
But
That's not-
It's in
that's
somebody's
not-
purview,
Our jurisdiction.
that's what I'm saying.
but I mean, it's gotta be in
Yeah.
somebody's purview.
Well, we said it was the county
Police
sheriff and
and
the
the sheriff.
state police.
Well,
State police.
if somebody complains that the animals aren't being cared for, then the state police go in.
Mhm.
And they can, actually bring a veterinarian with them.
Is that what happens when
I've done
somebody comes into a
Wow.
place where people haven't been taking care of an animal?
Like boarding
Yeah.
animals and things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Troopers
Or-
come and they bring a vet,
Also,
Yeah,
that kind of deal?
I've done it. I've gone with sheriffs and the state police.
The only way I could,
Um,
the only way I could get into that place today is to get a search warrant.
That you personally could.
A judge would have to order a search warrant to go on that property and inspect it.
let's see if he wants to give
But
us a tour.
I don't know anything, I don't know the specs of,
Yeah,
you know, well,
Well, and I get their concern about, people being upset. I thought safety was a little reach, but as far as people being upset, social media, that type of thing, because there's a lot of folks that were
Oh,
out
it's
there.
Terrible.
Well, there's a lot of folks that were out there when, the newspaper article hit, that was a great thing. And I mean, people at work were like, oh, I might
Seemed like a great
volunteer, I
thing
might
at the
volunteer
beginning.
at that. And well, it's not just that, it's the same with solar. I mean, people are against solar and people are like all for it, so. You know, there's always gonna be,
Well, and it's an
Difference.
emotional issue,
sure, I
it's a
mean.
very emotional issue.
there's-
but the one,
Rescuing dogs from dog meat,
Yeah,
you know.
but the one
places,
lady
so.
has had an issue with that since 1996.
what, the barking, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, Stiles's kennel was there before 1996 by 20 years.
Yeah, well,
It's like moving next to an airport, then you can,
farm.
you
But I,
you
you
move
know,
next to the airport,
I
then complain
honestly,
about
I-
the jet
About the
noise.
noise.
I get their concerns, I really do, but some of their concerns are not privy to this planning board and not privy to me
right,
or the dog control office.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what I thought.
You know, where the dogs come from, what country, and do they have the shots from the CDC? And
we don't, yeah,
I mean, I don't know where a guy come from Canada. Where is he from? I don't, you know,
Well, that's what this guy's banking on, that there's no real big oversight. He knows this already. That's why he came here. Well, one of the reasons.
yeah.
And plus, you know, he might
$3,000.
as well lease it. Because he doesn't know what, how,
I get my rescue dogs for 500.
he doesn't know how the local people will
Well,
react
they
to it.
appear at my house.
So he's probably not gonna build many structures if he's not sure that he'll be accepted, or if he's like a bull in a china shop, that seems to.
How could New York State have so many regulations for everything else?
And no, nothing to
Nothing.
say.
Yeah, they don't cover this.
It's
Wow.
weird.
I'm gonna talk to Jess Ciliari about it.
I think we have
Good.
a
Yeah.
dateline.
Yeah, interesting, because it
Yeah.
seems like it's a scam.
Well,
to
they
me.
came,
This
yeah.
seems like this is a PETA kind
It
of. a
sounds
PETA
like one of
issue.
those stories,
Well,
like
please,
they
that's
they
not-
sold
that's
the bricks and
not.
didn't
Yeah.
like it or something.
We're gonna find out about it these days.
Did you have something else, Mike?
yeah, Dakota brought up, in his email. When he was spending the time because he was at a T-ball
Little League game,
softball.
yeah.
Update on Rich Road,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
a couple items.
There's someone there tomorrow.
Rich Road, of course, everybody knows, went to, the Oars, group. Has been returned for not being complete.
Hmm.
It's a 46-page report from Oars. Some of the items, I believe they had the information but didn't submit it. We expected them, they expected a non-complete application as it is. And the other item is, I got an email from Jonathan, this morning. I believe I don't know if I emailed you guys yet. Cause Jeff Berry was in my office today and, the tour that they're planning, for the sheep grazing in Canada is scheduled for June 29th. And it's 9 to 12.
On prior,
Prior, so.
That's,
west of Ottawa,
yeah, I played bridge there too.
about an hour and a half west of Ottawa,
So-
something like that.
So that's, yeah, Rich Road, there is a webinar tomorrow night if you'd like to join and listen to their presentation. There's a link right on the town's website. Just
Right.
go on and click on it and basically a PowerPoint presentation of what's been submitted and where they're going with their plan.
Will it be similar to the one that was out at the
It's
hotel?
exactly the same,
Okay.
exactly the same.
So you seem to indicate to Bill Buchan that there was another solar project. Come on, you gonna tell us?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have not. I have not received anything. No plans, no nothing, but the project at the Hayes Farm on 310
Mhm.
is a new developer. For 2 solar sites.
On
they're
that
gonna-
land.
Is
Yeah,
there
they're gonna
enough?
take 20 acres, or 40 acres
And that's Mr. Hayes that was here at the meetings? That's his land?
It's his
mother's-
family's farm,
His mother's land.
his
His
mother's,
mother's land.
And they're gonna go for that.
I doubt it.
He's not happy
Oh,
about
then-
it.
they're not
I don't
gonna-
know.
Well,
It's his.
It's a Hayes farm, so
well, it's funny that he
So
was
it's going
opposed to
on
the
half
310.
of it.
He was opposed to
What's that
310
mean?
across the road.
It's going on, at least originally, it was to go on the half towards Canton. and-
Yes,
And
yes.
then John will eventually
Yeah.
own part of the other and it's not going there.
Good. But like I said, I don't have
But it
any,
will support his
plans, I
mother
don't
for the
have
rest of her life.
anything.
I thought there was,
She's-
I thought there
she's
was
old
little
anyway.
capacity left on the lines.
Okay.
No,
That will do
Okay.
pretty well though.
they must know that.
yeah, but still, I mean, she's gotta be
Okay.
Is there enough?
80s
money
plus.
Thank
They
you.
can connect before
I
Meade
mean-
Road does.
to carry the load?
Too
Yeah, I
bad.
thought there was no more capacity.
Are
Yeah, I
they in
haven't,
the, are they in the queue, the quay, whatever that thing is
Yeah.
called?
so,
Wow.
so we'll be,
Phew,
That was
So I thought there
originally
was
one where they
only-
were gonna buy the land.
That's right. It was
that was a
big-
different company.
big
This
money.
is a, this is
Big
a,
money.
this is a new company.
Huge amount of money to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And then he found out they had to build a substation.
Yeah.
So that's my understanding.
Well, that was my question before,
think
is
the other
there
310
room in the
could-
substation for this?
I-
I thought we were
I
practically
told it.
maxed out.
I told the developer, I said, somebody had been looking at that site, but they weren't in the queue before one of our approved sites,
Right.
so they dropped out. I just wanted to warn them before they start,
Right, spending a lot of money.
and a month and a half passed, and he called me back up, and so they did their homework.
Wow.
The other thing we have coming down, unless, next Wednesday night board meeting, the town hopefully will pass the new zoning regulations. And, they are going to either pass a anaerobic digester law.
Hmm.
If they don't, they're gonna put a moratorium on it again,
Oh, second one,
third one.
third one.
Yeah.
I missed the first one.
That's too bad. It could be used to digest dog poop.
Well,
The amount of dog
you know,
poop is
Bill-
statistically insignificant.
Bill brought up a good point. Bill brought up a good point. It comes. So. Anaerobic digesters. Are new-ish,
They've been around at least 20 years.
yeah, but
They built the
Not the
Agway with
way-
an extension.
not like the one I went
In the
to
80s,
Stouffer's
yeah.
Farm up in County Route 59. Wow,
Hmm.
that thing is. It's amazing. So if Torrio came in tomorrow, which he doesn't have to. And wants to build one on his property. It's agricultural. Nothing,
Right?
Okay, so if
so why
No
are we,
Dogs Left Behind is under ag and markets. Would he be agricultural?
no, I don't think so. But what I'm saying is if somebody wanted to come and build a 3-story high rise. To make a motel or a 4-story. Why are we making more rules and regulations on them when there's enough? I mean, the regulations on anaerobic digesters between the EPA and New York State DEC. Way. I mean, unbelievable. But. But there is one coming.
That's not a private one, that's a
No,
commercial one.
that's a commercial one.
Have you
But
heard
take-
anything about a new power line project?
No.
Cause I was unofficially told that they're gonna do the big lines next.
Really?
In the next 2-3 years.
What are the big lines?
What to replace the,
Yeah, you know where they
towers?
just did took the wooden poles down, put the giant, how
Yep.
there's the other great big.
Yeah, the
KV lines?
765 line,
Yeah, they're gonna redo those next.
No,
do the
the next-
rewire it,
Take down the towers and put up new,
no,
new towers.
that's why I
They've
understood
been
it.
there a long
Holy
time.
mackerel.
That's just
They're-
gonna
but
be
see,
a
they went-
project as big as the last.
they went
Bigger.
up in 79 or 80.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
Well, and that's to
Might be pretty
reinforce
rusty.
the power grid and increase the capacity so that we can
Have more
meet
solar
the-
projects.
meet the requirements of electric vehicles.
so on the same footprint, they're just going to build something that's gonna be bigger or stronger or why? Carry more,
Updated.
so
That's
it
all,
won't be a
that's all I was
765,
told, that it's being proposed and it's in the approval process.
won't be a
That's what I was-
765 line anymore, it'll be more of a, say,
Probably.
1,000 or 1,200 kV,
No idea.
something like that. Whoa,
They run across my property too, so.
so these towers are gonna be even bigger
so
now?
I'll lose the use of my land for another 3 years,
Yeah.
Wow.
because that's how long
I've-
it lasted last.
It takes,
I've,
yeah, a
I've
long
come to
time.
be used to those towers now, it's been a long time, but it's part of the landscape and now that's gonna all change, and I get used to it again.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll put in, whether it'll look the same, whether they'll.
That would be good if you could find that out, if they're gonna be bigger, or whatever
Can't believe it. I mean, they're doing the line from
project.
Krogan to, or wherever they stopped on
Mhm.
this one, Krogan to Utica.
Yeah,
Then
this
they're
was
going from
phase two.
Messina to Plattsburgh.
Mhm.
They'll probably just turn around and,
I think they're just trying to upgrade everything.
Well, the
Yeah.
the KV line comes from the St. James project up in Canada. It doesn't have anything to do with the St. Lawrence.
No,
I don't think so, pretty sure.
You got anything else, Mike?
no, it's
Well, I move
I
to
hear-
adjourn.
I didn't even get that. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I made all the
Aye.
motions.
I'll
Thank
tell
you.
you.
Good
did I
job,
tell you the
Ian.
Story about putting the cow under those baby lines in the thunderstorm.
Oh, God.
No.
No, I
Hair
wouldn't.
standing on end.
it seems like it'd be the safest place to be. I mean, I feel like I don't need lightning around. the
So I
house.
get this phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, multi-years ago. One of my customers down south of Herman, on the Herman Edwards Road. They milk